And when I was looking over to the side, I could see all the construction that was going on. And these guys were cutting trees and they were on their excavators.
Tonight, a camp has been set up in Cape Breton to prevent clear-cutting to protect the area.
Canada can create all of the project offices and advisory groups that they want, but chiefs are united.
With Parliament back in session, the Assembly of First Nations let their feelings known what they want to see down the upcoming budget.
I'm not going anywhere, and I will fight for him till all the people responsible for his death are outed and charged for his murder.
And renewed calls for help in finding those responsible for the death of a Saskatchewan First Nation man. Tansin etutemak, T.R. Wheatley, Nisigasun, Opaskwayakuche. Tawau, welcome to APTN National News. The Mi'kmaq continue to protect the highlands in Cape Breton, setting up a camp with a checkpoint to prevent clear-cutting that is destroying the forest ecosystem. However, RCMP are patrolling the area as the Mi'kmaq take their own initiative to protect the mountains. Angel Moore brings us this exclusive story.
Okay. So everybody's detained right now for a mischief investigation.
For what?
Whatever was happening at Nova Scotia.
There's nothing happening.
That was Corporal Holly Murphy speaking to Mi'kmaq land protectors on a road in Hunters Mountain, Unamagi, Mi'kmaq for Cape Breton. Ashton Bernard and other land protectors were driving to the site where Bernard shot his first moose to harvest medicine when the RCMP pulled them over.
And then DNR actually blocked the road off from us, and the cops come out from the woods and detained all of us. But other than that, they're just, bothering the native people here.
About 2 weeks ago, Mi'kmaq land protectors seized the wood from 3 logging trucks to stop the clear cutting that they say is destroying the moose habitat, water flow, and traditional medicines. They have since set up a camp with a checkpoint to protect the forest.
The Unamagi highlands, this is our resources, and we let these big corporations destroy our hunting grounds and our medicine grounds. It's just heartbreaking, because I shot my first moose at Windmill Road, and now it's just a memory. It's not there anymore.
Jaime Baptiste is from the Eskazoni First Nation and a Liberal MP. He was touring the mountain when he came across the police stopping the Mi'kmaq land protectors. The RCMP offered tobacco to Baptiste and left. No one was detained. Baptiste says he is here to support the Mi'kmaq.
I see for myself, I've heard the concerns, and we know that this place means more than just trees and moose. It's sacred areas for these people, which they've passed down their knowledge for generations, and we want to figure out how we can do it into the future.
The land protectors showed Baptiste this open pit of the Nova Scotia Power Reservoir Dam near Wreck Cove in Hunters Mountain. They say the Mi'kmaq people were not consulted and are fed up with the government. Baptiste says he understands the distrust.
We're here to listen, and when we were invited by people to come up here and see what's going on, I always feel like in any kind of animosity between Mi'kmaq and the province or members of that it's incumbent upon me to be there and see for myself what's going on and not just take someone else's word for it.
Nearby in the bushes is where Fred Silaboy's son, Chris, shot his first moose. Sadly, Chris died from cancer in 2008 when he was 19 years old.
It was given to me by moose hunters of Eskazoni and the hunters of the Hunters Mountain. It's a plaque in honor and memorial, sacred tree for my son, which he shot his first moose at the age of 12.
But the sacred tree was a victim of clear cutting. Silly Boy was heartbroken.
My gut fell to the ground. I was so upset, so mad, angry and mad. I got here, looked at the tree, and when I was looking over to the side, I could see all the construction that was going on. And these guys were cutting trees and they were on their excavators.
To help protect the forest, the camp has grown to about 100 people, including elders and youth, with Mi'kmaq teachings, including cleaning hide and drawing medicines. The movement has led to people coming together to protect Mi'kmaq lands. Amy Maloney is from the Spaganagity First Nation.
And we all stood there and we all were singing from the bottom of our hearts and the top of our lungs, the honor song. And that coming on Hunter's Mountain was an overwhelming feeling of pride. Real Indigenous pride.
Youth came to dance for the elders and community members, who all have memories from the mountains, including Elder Douglas Denny from the Eskasoni First Nation. He harvested lumber in the mountains with his dad's company.
We have to protect our forest, sure. I believe that, and I support these guys. And but the forest got to be protected, and got to be managed properly.
Port Hawkesbury Paper has since paused clear cutting. They told APTN News they are working with the Nova Scotia Chiefs and Mi'kmaq associations on a holistic ecosystem-based forestry. Silly Boy hopes his son's story will help save the mountain.
I'm feeling, I never thought I'd be standing here and explaining my story about my son and the hurt that I went through with him and the hurt my people are going through with the sacred mountain.
The land protectors are staying put and plan to build a permanent camp to protect their lands. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Hunters Mountain, Unama'ki.
A First Nation in Manitoba is celebrating after their calls for moose conservation have been answered, just in time for moose hunting season to begin this week in the region. Last month, Bloodvein River First Nation in eastern Manitoba began barring non-indigenous hunters from entering their traditional territory in an effort to prevent overhunting of moose. The decision has been met with disdain by hunting organizations in the province who called on the government and RCMP to intervene. On Monday, the Manitoba government announced that roughly 150 kilometers of road and river in the area will be surrounded by a moose hunting buffer zone. The buffer zones stretch south and east of Bloodvein and roughly 70 kilometers north to Barons River First Nation. 500 meters on either side of the stretches will be no hunting zones. The province says the buffer zone will only remain for the 2025 hunting season, which began September 15th. In a post on social media, the chief of Bloodvein says the province and nation are working together and says conservation officers will be present and visible. Parliament resumed on Monday and the Carney government has committed to releasing a budget this fall. With this in mind, the Assembly of First Nations held a press conference on Tuesday outlining its spending priorities. But as APTN's Fraser Needham reports, much of it was dominated by the AFN's ongoing opposition to Bill C-5, or the One Canadian Economy Act.
Speaking to reporters in Ottawa, AFN National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak said the government's announcement of an 11-member Indigenous Advisory Council last week has done little to quell her organization's concerns about Bill C-5.
Canada can create all of the project offices and advisory groups that they want, but chiefs are united. When it comes to the approval of large national infrastructure projects on First Nations lands, there is no getting around First Nations rights holders. Until an appropriate process is established and founded in free, prior, and informed consent from First Nations, the Crown's legal obligations will not be met.
The AFN did also outline what it would like to see in the upcoming budget, such as new spending to address the massive First Nations infrastructure gap and ensuring all communities have access to clean drinking water. But in his opening remarks, AFN Regional Chief for Manitoba, Willie Moore, chose to make note of the fact no First Nations from his province were included on the Advisory Council.
Canada calls Bill C-5 the Major Projects Office its new nation-building tools. But we need to be clear. These major projects need First Nation consent. It is our participation that gives the investors a sense of security that projects will move forward. Canada needs us.
Woodhouse-Nepenak also said the AFN was not consulted on the creation of the council and is still unsure what it will exactly do.
We have not seen the terms of reference. I think, we had one conversation, of course, with the federal government on that role, and it was pretty late, as like they had done with C-5.
AFN Regional Chief for New Brunswick, Joanna Bernard, added if Ottawa has any plans to move forward on national projects without properly consulting First Nations, it will do so at its own peril.
If you look at history, in Atlantic Canada, there were some projects, energy projects, that did not go through because they did not consult and our people took over the land and the work did not get done. So be prepared that that may be something that Canada, the First Nations may do. If they're not doing it right, we're going to stand up. We're not going to be folding down again as we did in the past. And
Late Tuesday afternoon, the government announced it will release the 2025 federal budget on November 4th. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
We want to hear what you think about our stories so far this week. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And we have a story about a big energy project out of British Columbia when we return. Cheskwa. Pitagwe. Aaron Gamble's family is calling for justice, demanding that those responsible for his death be held accountable. Over 2 years have passed and still no arrests have been made. The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, FSIN, held a press conference urging police to do more. Video journalist Rachel May was at the event.
I'm not going anywhere, and I will fight for him till all the people responsible for his death are outed and charged for his murder.
Amelia Greyeyes' brother Aaron Gamble was murdered on March 24, 2023. His body was found in a garbage bin in the 2300 block of 17th Street West in Saskatoon. Police footage shows 3 persons of interest using a dolly to carry a large object to the bin, placing it inside and then leaving. Greyeyes says she wants answers to ensure her brother's killers are held accountable for what they did.
I do not want his case to go cold when the persons who did this are living freely and amongst us. The updates that are not new, the time and toll this has taken on me is the most frustrating. I am tired of the ones who did this, living their lives freely, walking around thinking they have gotten away with this. No more. This has to end now, as they are not smarter than the police.
Greyeyes is asking the Saskatoon Police Service to use their resources to search areas of high interest in the investigation.
I am asking for places to be forensically tested, more resources available, with input from people who have information to share and have tried since his murder. I am angry and frustrated. I have done what was asked of me for 2.5 years, and now is the time where I am speaking and advocating for my brother.
4th Vice Chief of the FSIN, Craig McCallum, spoke at the press conference and said that the FSIN is standing with Gamble's family.
No family should ever have to feel, should never have to come to do things like this, to sit in front of a camera, to beg for updates, to beg for answers, to beg for effort.
McCallum added that the family needs SPS to communicate what steps are being taken to catch the killers and to increase resources to ensure justice for Gamble.
This is a public call to SPS to communicate with the family, to share with them, and to open up those lines of communication so that they don't feel that they don't feel alone, or also that nothing is being done to help find justice for their loved one.
In a statement to APTN, the Saskatoon Police Service said the investigation into Gamble's death remains active and encouraged anyone with information to contact them directly at 306-975-8300 or anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Now to British Columbia, where the provincial government has just given the green light to a massive energy project. APTN's Tina House has this story.
At this press conference, Premier David Eby was joined by the Nisga'a Lissom's government to make a special announcement.
I'm so thrilled for the Nisga'a people. They have worked hard to get to this stage, and I am very proud to announce that the EA, the Environmental Assessment Certificate, has been issued for the Salisms project, which means that the project is moving forward, and the only final hurdle for the Nisga'a is a final investment decision for them and their partners.
The C. Lissom's project name means the Nass River in their language, and this project has been 10 years in the making. It will deliver 12 million tons of liquefied natural gas per year to the Perce Island on the northwest coast through pipelines from northeast BC. The LNG will then be transported to Asian markets on tankers.
In partnership with First Nations, finding ways to drive down carbon pollution while building up our economy. That's how you build an economy the right way, and today's announcement, an excellent example of that. Salism shows us what the future looks like. This project will create 800 jobs during construction, more than 200 jobs ongoing at the site, $17 billion in contribution to the Canadian economy over the lifetime of the project.
Eva Clayton is the president of the Nisga'a Lissom's government. She says Indigenous people now play an essential role in shaping Canada's economy.
Lissom's LNG is a project our nation is proud to be co-developing with our partners. As BC and Canada work to retool our economy, Indigenous nations all across Canada are playing a central role. We don't need to resist change. if we are the ones shaping it.
The Nisga'a, in partnership with the Rockies LNG and Western LNG, say the project also involves many partners on the ground to make this happen. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Time for one last break here. We tell you about an annual ribbon walk in Edmonton when we come back. Cheskwa. Wow, welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Richard was enjoying a beautiful clear day along the shores near Lac Brochet, Manitoba. Thanks for the great photo. Keep those photos coming by sending us your pictures to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, St. John's 13, Charlottetown 23, Happy Valley Goose Bay 14, Cartwright 7, Chibougamau 25, Val-d'Or 24, North Bay 24, Sault Ste. Marie also 24, Big Trout Lake 10, Wawa 18, Churchill 9, Norehouse 16, Barons River 15, Winnipeg 21, North Battleford 22, Regina 18, Uranium City 20, La Ronge 15. Over to the west, Fort Chipewyan 23, Fort McMurray 24, Edmonton 29, Lethbridge 28, Bella Coola 9, Kamloops 31, Dease Lake 15, Prince George 25, up north, Old Crow 8, Mayo 12, Norman Wells 17, Fort Simpson 25, Tuktoyaktuk 10, Colville Lake 14, Cambridge Bay 5, Chesterfield 6, Resolute -4, Iqaluit 2 degrees. The first ribbon walk a mile in a ribbon skirt day was held 6 years ago, and September 16 is now officially Walk a Mile in a Ribbon Skirt Day in Alberta. Tuesday's event was themed More Than a Skirt, with speakers talking about the huge problem in the city with houselessness and people dying on the streets in the winter. Emotions were high as members from Edmonton's City Council heard personal stories about houselessness and lost family members.
And I proposed a challenge to the City Council that they could maybe facilitate a forum where we could get together with the administrators, people who actually can make change and allocate funds to solutions, and form a committee based around houselessness with trauma-informed people. We can invite the chief and councils from Treaty 6, 7, and 8 because over 50% of the houseless community are Indigenous in Edmonton.
A lot of women are dying on the streets, a lot of men are dying on the streets, and that's why it was important for me to bring houselessness here. I wanted the city councilors to be here, and they were all here. It was a big event, and a lot of people, it was a heated event, and I knew it was going to be a heated event because the people are dying. These are people's lives, these are families who are dying, and Indigenous people, we are suffering.
To mark the 50th anniversary of the Toronto Film Festival, the National Film Board is seeking visionary young filmmakers capable of redefining Canadian and Indigenous identity. Kim Sullivan reports.
The Toronto International Film Festival celebrates its 50th anniversary in September, and to mark the occasion, the National Film Board is looking for young filmmakers who want to share their vision of Canadian and Indigenous identity.
We're looking for 5 creators who must be 30 and under, so we're really looking for next generation voices.
NFB Director of Operations John Christou says the initiative called Redefine aims to provide a platform and the means for filmmakers to create innovative short documentaries with bold and original point of views. He adds that we are in an era that is pushing us to redefine ourselves.
The world is at a sort of inflection point right now with a lot of big changes, both political changes, social changes, technological changes. And I think it's really a good moment for us to check in on what it means to be Canadian or Indigenous today.
Producer Shalala Leonard Nurmsu, a member of the Anishinaabe Nation in Alberta, was excited to be part of this program.
I agreed to come on board because I just felt this is a wonderful opportunity to work with a filmmaker or filmmakers of all different ranges of experience, because it is open to emerging and mid-level and experienced, to come on board to do a short film under 10 minutes with us.
She explains the use of brackets in the title of the initiative, Redefine.
I think that for some applicants, they may be wanting to redefine, but I think for a lot of filmmakers, it's having this opportunity to define, you know, and to say, this is who I am, this is who we are, you know, this is my story or our stories, and reclaiming that space. It can be defining or redefining. It really is up to the filmmaker.
The one thing out of their control is the busy schedule of this venture.
It's a very compressed time schedule, so we're going to be starting these projects in November and finishing them by August.
Just in time to premiere at the Toronto Film Festival next year.
It's a huge opportunity, not just from a career perspective, but also the filmmakers will be fully paid, their budget is fully guaranteed, they have full distribution, so it's really a step forward in someone's career.
The deadline for submitting film proposals is September 30th. Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Montreal.
And that's all the time we have for this Tuesday, September 16th. Join Chris and Ajikode at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for our daytime newscast. Until then, from all of us at APTN, especially our supercalifragilisticexpialidocious crew behind the scenes, Egase, Gitam, Kawapamitinano.